enjoy getting a little high? You smoke a little reefer? Snort a little coke? Sure, it's fun, and it won't hurt you, will it?
If you found yourself answering yes or even thinking about some of the questions Dan asked, you definitely want to keep watching. You also want to keep watching if you have children of any age, because Essay on Drugs is a graphic portrayal of the drug world as few have ever seen it.
What we're about to show you is a tape presentation entitled Essay on Drugs, originally produced and narrated in 1981 by award-winning journalist Gil Noble, who produces a show called Like It Is in New York. We profiled Gil Noble on a previous edition of City Line.
What Gil Noble has put together is a very powerful conversation for youth. It is also shocking, and you may have to force yourself to watch at points. Because it is so graphic, parental discretion is advised, especially for younger children.
As Jackie said, Essay on Drugs is not pleasant to watch, but it is one of the most important documentaries that we have ever seen, and we encourage you to stay with us, if not for your sake, then for that of your children. Following the essay, we're going to open the phone lines to get your reactions.
We'll take a break now and return with Essay on Drugs.
Relax and take notes while I take totes of the marijuana smoke. Throw you in a choke, gun smoke, gun smoke. Ricky Smoke for mayor, the rap slayer, the hooker layer. Motherfucker, say your prayers. Hail Mary, full of grace. Smack the bitch in the face, take her Gucci bag and her North Face off her back. Jab her if she act funny with the money. Oh, you got me mistaken, honey. I don't wanna rape ya, I just want the paper, the visa, Kavisha. I'm out like the vapors. Who's the one you call Mr. Macho? The head honcho, swiftest like Kumacho. I got so much style, I should be down with the stylistics. Make up to break up, niggas need to wake up. Smell the Indonesia, beat you to a seizure. Then fuck your moms, hit the skin to amnesia. She don't remember shit, just the 2 hits. Her hitting the floor, and me hitting the clits. Sucking on the tits, had the hooker begging for the dick. And your moms ain't ugly, love, my dick got rocked quick. I guess I was a combination of House of Pain and Bobby Brown. I was humping around and jumping around. Chapter then I asked her who's the man, she said B.I.G. Then I bust in her E.Y.E.
I don't care what nobody say. 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 We gotta do the thing right.
Strong, who got it going on? You're dead wrong. Strong, who got it going on? You're dead wrong. Check the pain, I inflict like a convict. The Fulton Vicar, jump in the Acura vigor after I stick you. Rip you like a razor, straight up Henny with no chaser. Watch me erase you, misplace you. Put you in the back with the derelicts. Yeah, I pop plain shit. Chump, I'm making hits, no time for the crack rocking shit. Took it to another level. Now I'm getting crazy takes, getting paid from the devils. Another amateur trying to damage the pedigree of the B.I.G. G.I.E. You know it's me. Holmes, I thought you know I'm smooth as a baby's ass. Smooth as Teddy Pendergrass. Smoke the grass, get in your ass. The Brooklyn born, Teflon Dawn, record shop, getting props, proving nobody drops. Words as potent as the blunt smoking Bed-Stuy bandit, and niggas just can't understand it. I bust a cap for the brothers in Nap, Comstock and Clinton. You know my shit is hitting. Yeah, y'all a fly nigga, Biggie Smalls. Pick it flavor, make a nigga wanna dig up in they drawers. For the burner, catch a body, I got styles like karate. Jiu-jitsu, when I hit you, then I split you like a cantaloupe. Hope you got a rope to hang yourself. I robbed myself from Brooklyn. Where else? Fat like a Lexus coupe. I ripped your troop. Not even Lois Lane could get the scoop. What, you think I'm stupid? My crew is mad deep. I hope you niggas sleep. Yo, Big, you're dead wrong. Got it going on. You're dead wrong. We get strong. Got it going on. You're dead wrong. The weak of the strong. Got it going on. You're dead wrong. The weak of the strong. Got it going on. You're dead wrong. The weak of the strong. Got it going on. You're dead wrong.
Welcome back to a special edition of City Line. Remember that we advised you just before we went to the break that parental discretion is advised for the rest of the show.
Here then is Gil Noble's Essay on Drugs.
My young brothers and sisters, this is an essay just for you. I want to talk to you about getting high. I know you see me on TV and you probably think I'm straight life. Don't know what's happening. Probably thinking, here comes another lecture. I'm not going to lecture you. I just want to talk to you about getting high. You see, it's out on the wire that a lot of you are into getting high, and I think that there are some things that you should think about. I've been hearing that as many as 8 out of every 10 of you are into some kind of getting high. I've been hearing that this is happening in public schools, where some of you who are as young as 7 and 8 years old are copping some kind of drug or another. In fact, some say that the place where you can get the most powerful drugs at the lowest prices is in schools. High school, too. Some of my connections tell me that if you ain't down for getting off into some kind of stuff, in high school they'll call you a sissy. College, I hear, is much the same thing, and I hear that some are running down the line to you that if you're smart, you can get into some beautiful highs without any danger of getting a habit. Some of these people are experts, or at least they sound like they're experts. And they say that a little smoke is no more dangerous than a taste of alcohol. You'll never get a Jones from a little smoke, they say. And so I hear tell a whole lot of you young brothers and sisters are steady into some smoke. Where once the only roach black people knew was the one that crawls up the wall, now the one best known is a roach that makes them crawl up the wall. But you love this thing, this roach. You defend it, you fight for it, and you're right to have it. You argue that it makes you function better. I mean, that's what you say, right? It helps you play ball better, dance better, think better, make love better, study better. And again, what's so good about it, you say, is that you can't get a Jones from it, or a habit. Well, my dear brothers and sisters, because we care about you so very much, we went out into the street and cut into some people that you just have to meet. They at one time had the same kind of arguments I just ran down. But now, things are a bit different. Yet because of their deep love for you, they agreed one night to meet with me in a dark, dingy boiler room of an apartment building. They had a lot to say to me, but in actuality, they were really talking to you. When you started, did you think that you were going to get as involved as you are now?
No, because when I first started, it was more out of curiosity, out of watching older guys around the block, and it was like a new adventure. Like growing up, you know, like we had certain idols, you know. I wanted to see why Tommy over there was doing all this and why he was bending over like this. And then after we got into it, kind of liked it a little bit. And after a while, you would have to just buy drugs just to feel normal.
How much do you have to shoot now just to feel normal?
Well, at first I would spend $25, they call it a half a quarter. And after I get that first shot in me, it would like settle me, get my nerves back, because you'd be all nervous and be to the parts where your eyes would be running or you'd be about to throw up or your bowels would break. After that first shot, in my second shot, then I would be like more so trying to get high. So it would be like $50, a $50 shot.
How much do you shoot a day now?
Roughly about 3 to 4 quarters a day.
How much does that cost?
A quarter is $50, a quarter. Sometimes, like if you buy regular for one guy, he would give it to you for $40 a quarter. So that's like $160 a day.
How about you? When did you get involved? How old were you?
I was about 19 or 20 when I first started. It was more or less out of curiosity, like the brother said. Then it became a necessity. You know, and now it's not about even getting high no more. It's just about, you know, just trying to feel normal.
How much do you shoot a day in dollars?
Oh, sometimes $200 or $300 a day. It varies.
$200-300 a day. Where do you have to shoot? I notice your hands look kind of messed up.
Well, right now I can't, I was going in my hand, now I can't. I was going in my arms, I can't go in my arm no more. I was going in my leg. My legs are messed up, I can't go there anymore. I was going in my neck, I can't do that anymore. Now I started going under the arm. And that just swelled up this morning, so I don't know where I'm going to go now.
You were going in your neck?
Yeah.
Show me where.
I don't know whether you can still see the...
Mm-hmm.
You know, it swelled up one time, now the vein more or less collapsed.
Would you use a mirror?
Yeah. And sometimes I get someone else to do it.
Someone else to shoot in your neck?
Yeah.
Man, how can you shoot a dirty needle in your neck?
Well, you know, when you're sick, you know, when you're trying to get that first shot, you know, you don't care when you got to get the hit at, just so long as you get the first shot in, you know, you're not concerned about whether it's in the neck or on the arm or in your foot. In the forehead, some people go in the forehead. You know, you don't even, wherever you can find the vein at, that's where you want to shoot it at.
Is that what has caused these scars on your hand?
Yeah. From, you know, going in a certain spot so many times, just start to kill the area. You know, start leaving tracks, swell up there, like both my hands are swollen up. Now I can't even go in either hand.
Show me where you were shooting. Right in the skin here?
Yeah, right there.
Until it formed an ulcer.
Right.
What about you, B?
Well, mine here, you can see, is it's an ulcer already. And basically it came from me being like a little nervous while I was shooting it in. I was a little ill. And a cocaine miss usually makes a bad ulcer like that. Heroin miss usually don't make a bad ulcer like that. It just makes a hard spot. You see, it comes from a combination of cocaine and heroin. And it leaves terrible ulcers.
Let me see your arm.
Which I have, you know, all over. You can see mine. They're very bad. They're very bad. I have them all the way up my arm. Both arms.
Let me see your other arm. And each of these spots are where you put a needle in.
Right. Now, so sometimes it gets to the point that if they're not treated or some type of antibiotic isn't taken, one ulcer will spread to another body, like your pores might be open from perspiration, and some of the pus and germs are getting to the pores of other ulcers, of your skin, and it makes another ulcer just continue to spread.
Isn't it painful, man?
Very painful. These I try to cure myself. Like I pull out, I drain the pus, and it's a core you have to get out. And I pull it out, you know, painstakingly, but I want them off. I wasn't ready to kick, so I wasn't going to the hospital.
Where do you shoot now? You can't shoot in your arms.
No, I can't shoot my arms now. Now I go under my arms. I stopped going to my legs. I went in my forehead also. I went in my fingers. Now I go on my side here. I have veins on the side of my chest. I go there now.
Where do you shoot, brother?
Brother, I'm going to tell you, Mr. Noah, I have been literally every place on my body.
Like where?
My neck, fingers, toes, my feet. Let me just show you my feet. This is what drugs can do to you. I'm telling this to all the young children that's in the country today. Stay away from the drugs. Look at this. Look at my leg. Look at the size of my leg. I'm literally a deformed man. And this is the good leg.
This is the good leg.
This is the good leg.
What kind of a life is it do you lead? I mean,
well,
how do you function like this, man?
Well, we have to, you live from day to day. You don't know whether you're going to live or you're going to die. Well, I'll speak for myself. Sometimes I just totally given up on life. Just the drugs more or less give me a world that I can hide in, you know, where everyone is the same. There's no president and there's no, you know, governor, and everyone is the same. We're all junkies.
What are you talking about when you say that? We're all junkies. What do you mean?
I'm just saying, in the drug community,
yeah,
everyone is basically the same. We all looked upon as the same. A dope addict. You know?
You got a cold? I notice you're all stopped up, or is it because of drugs?
Yeah, listen, the drugs lower your body resistance very low. You know, whereas, say, I might have a cold now, right? But as I use the drugs, you know, the drug more or less suppresses the symptoms. Whereas I have had pneumonia for over a month, but didn't know it until, like say, maybe a time when I didn't have drugs for a long period of time, and your body starts to react. Like when you put the drugs in, your body accepts it. You know, you keep constantly putting drugs in your system, your body in turn starts to accept this foreign substance. Now, when you take it out, your body turns on you like.
So you all started using drugs in the 60s, huh?
Right. The latter 60s for myself, 67.
Why is that? Why did you all start using around the same time? Have you ever thought about that?
As far as myself, that's when I noticed where a little bit before that time, they had a lot of gangs. They have like the sportsmen, the politicians, and this and that. Everybody was like changing at that time. Everybody wanted to get into something different. And it seemed like at that moment, more people was getting to the drug thing and putting the jitterbugging down. The gang wars, you know, that was like playing out. That was for like kids now. Everybody was getting into a hip thing, and the drugs came on the set. That's when more drugs came into the community.
But why at that particular time? Do you have any thoughts about why it came at that particular time? Have you thought about that?
Yes, well, during that time, it was more or less the time of the Black Panthers and revolution and hippies, you know, and the drug culture was just more or less blooming around that time, you know, and you hear, you know, at that time, I was about 13, maybe 14. And, you know, you be hearing a lot about drugs. And you, in the particular ghetto environment, I grew up on 119th Street, St. Nicholas, in the particular area where I lived, the main drug was dope and marijuana.
That's what you started on? Marijuana?
Yes. Yes. I started smoking marijuana, but the marijuana didn't lead me into the drugs.
It didn't?
No. I used marijuana until I wanted, like the older guys, a lot of older guys were using heroin. And they always seemed to be a lot higher than I was, you know? I was high, but I wasn't as high as they were, you know? And so I wanted to know how they was getting so high. And, you know, the marijuana wasn't giving me this effect. And so...
But then how can you say that one didn't lead you to another?
Because
when you come to think of it now.
Now, I wanted to use heroin because I wanted to get higher.
Right.
Higher than, you know, then marijuana didn't give me the effect that I saw other people getting.
You started on marijuana, reefer, to get high, and then you moved elsewhere to get higher.
Right.
So step one led to step two.
You could say that. You could possibly say that because smoking marijuana was more or less like a teenage fad. With like high school, you know, everybody smoked, you know. And if you didn't smoke, you wasn't in, you know, so more or less you had to smoke. But at that time, the people that used drugs now, they were a very small, you know, a very small community. You know, it wasn't that many, like say, when I was in high school, it wasn't very many people that was going to high school with me using drugs. Very small, you know, community of drug addicts there. But still, you know,
What would you say to a young person about smoking reefer?
Well, I really have no thoughts.
Who's starting in a world of getting high, which is usually the first step, like you had. Would you tell a young person to make that first step in the world of getting high?
I would tell them to leave the whole thing alone, because just like you said, now that I think about it, one step getting high in itself is a detriment to your body and your mind. You know, that can hurt you. Anything that you do that can hurt, just like cigarettes. Cigarettes can run your body down, you know, to where you can't perform athletically. And which is the same thing with drugs. Drugs not only run your body down, but it runs you down mentally.
What kind of life do you live? Tell me, what kind of life do you live? Do you have a woman?
No, I don't.
Do you have a love life or anything?
Well, no. I literally have no love life because the drugs...
You mean no woman wants you because of the condition that you're in physically? Not
actually that. That could pose a problem, but I believe if someone loves you, you know, what you know, how you look physically should not affect that. But I wouldn't want to, you know, make love to a woman in the condition that I'm in now physically, you know, and so therefore I stay away from that, you know.
What would you say, brother, to a young person who's making that first step into getting high?
Similar to what the brother N said, leave it alone. Don't even begin it, you know. Because if they did, they're going to wind up just like either one of us.
But they're smarter than you. You dumb. You got hooked. They're smart. That's what they say.
If they touch either one of them, they're not as smart as they think they are. If they try either one of them, they're not as smart as they think they are.
Do you think the same thing?
I think it's just a matter of time. Because just like he said, he wanted to get higher. And what really makes them think that they're going to be different from how he was? I mean, eventually, they're going to want to try a different type high, just like they wanted when they first began to want to try the smoke high, because a lot of them start out drinking beer. And then they go to the wine, and then they get to the marijuana. And then from the marijuana to the dust, and heroin, and so the best advice would be just to leave, you know, the drug set alone.
There's something deeper than that. The Nation of Islam used to talk about it, and I talked to a professor who said that the reason why drugs are made available to youth is because they don't want them to be activists.
They want them to be docile.
What do you say?
I also believe that.
There could be truth to a degree.
See signs that it shows more truth in it, because drugs pacify, slows you down, keep them corralled. They want the people suppressed.
Are you able, is there any part of your life that you're able to contribute to the struggle of black people? Be honest.
I have got it.
No.
In this condition, no.
In this condition, no. There's nothing I can do except for just try to explain to the young, you know, my problems and how I got caught up.
Let's be honest about it.
But as far as contributing, there's nothing I can do.
You may even, in a sense, be a hindrance.
Right.
That's right.
Right.
I would tend to agree with that, because how can you say don't do something that you're doing yourself? We're not any form of example for children or the young to stop using drugs, because we're not projecting that type of image. But, you know, we have, you know, I'm going to say myself, let me speak for myself. I have ruined my life, I feel, to a degree. You know, this particular part of my life, I have ruined. You know, say 13 to 15 years of my life, I have ruined using drugs, you know, and I'm hoping that by me sitting here right now, telling it like it is, you know, will help, you know, will be my contribution, you know, to the black society, because you know, if I had seen something like this, seen the type of destruction, the type of, the way that the body can be deformed by using these drugs, I don't think I ever would have stuck a needle in my arm. I don't think I ever would have done it. You know, but at that time, drugs were, you know, something that was trying to be kept quiet in America. I don't know where, you know, but at a time, like say during the 60s, the late 60s, during the revolutionary time, it had seemed to me, I had observed that the drugs were being flooded in the ghetto areas. The ghetto areas were being flooded with drugs. And at that time, you know, drugs were of a much, much higher quality.
And cheaper, too.
And cheaper, that's right, than it is now. And which, around that time, I think that's what really started a lot of us, you know, it was like debate. Throw the real good drugs out first, you know?
Yeah. Where do you shoot now?
I get off in my groin.
Brother, where do you shoot now? Your arms are gone.
Sometimes I have help, and I go under my arms or on my side.
Bring it to me, Gary.
Certain people make money because they can hit. They don't have to hustle at all. They don't have to steal.
Aren't you scared you're going to kill yourself, brother?
That's what I'm saying. If you don't know how to hit well, you paralyze me. In the neck, in the groin. That's why certain people that's hitting, man, they may make up to $400 a day hitting people from good reputation. They are specialists, neck specialists, groin specialists, under the arm specialists. So you gotta press it up.
No, you don't have to. It's up already.
That other one would be better.
This is good vein.
Where?
You can't see it.
Where? Point, so just put your finger.
You can't see it if I pointed to it. No.
You want to try this new one I done? Oh,
Yeah. This thing is not new.
it's not a see-through.
Feel like it's in a dragon.
They have all different type of specialists. A hitman may make $400-500 a day because he hitting the groin perfect, because he hit under the arm perfect, because he hitting the neck perfect. Now all these places under the arm and the neck and the groin, these are places where if he misses, he can paralyze the person. So they pay up to $8 to $10 for a hit. Sometimes a guy might give up half his shot for a hit, and that might be a $60 or $50, $70 worth of, $80 worth of drugs. $50 worth of heroin. If they speedball, that's heroin and cocaine. $30 worth of cocaine, $50 worth of heroin. And gives up half of that. So the price varies.
You better go try back over here. What you know? This is cool.
I think it's too dumb.
Not that. This is some of the problems that we have to go through.
Don't go too close to the bone. Can you follow your last one? Spoon it up.
For you didn't despite you.
First thing the hitman want to know is, are you going to pay in cash or are you going to pay in drugs? If I'm a good hitman and you're my first client, the first thing I'm going to tell you, why did you wake me up? You didn't have a drug shot for me. How can I hit you good and I don't have any drugs? So it costs you. Now for you to get a good hit, you have to almost supply my habit too.
Don't push my hand.
Yeah. Good.
Nothing's happening, huh?
Bad, listen.
Give me that short spike, Jamel. Jamel, give me that short spike.
B,
Let me try you.
B, and B, and B, C.
And B.
Right. You want to try B? Yeah. Think it's safe.
Don't pull it up. Don't pull it up.
Think it's safe, Mr. N?
Man, you sure you want to go in there, man? Suppose
Right there. No.
You sure you want to go into that stuff, man?
Too sharp. Too sharp.
Right, it's too sharp, man.
Need to see through. See through. See what you're doing. I was missing a little bit down there. It's the first time ever in life went there. As far as sex life, ain't no time for sex life. How can I have time for sex life when King Heron, this Heron, got me running too hard? It kills my nature. Certain times I look at a sister and I regret. And I regret because I used to have a hell of a sex life. I regret because I can't have sex life here. Heroin and cocaine becomes the sex life. Anytime you go in the groin, you're only supposed to take, the doctor said you're only supposed to take blood out of the groin. You're not supposed to shoot anything into the groin. So that's Russian roulette right there. But an addict is sick and needs a fix. You can't tell him that. Look at my forehead. One miss. Can you imagine what happened? If I would have an abscess, Mr. Noble, on my forehead, and it travels to my brain, that's death. That's death. One miss. Question. I'm ensuring that I have a good hit. That's why I'm blowing and backing this up. If I miss here, it may do something to my sex life in case I do ever want sex again. As soon as I back up, I'll be all right.
I have ruined my life, I feel, to a degree. You know, this particular part of my life, I have ruined. You know, say 13 to 15 years of my life I have ruined using drugs, you know, and I'm hoping that by me sitting here right now, telling it like it is, you know, will help, you know, will be my contribution, you know, to the black society. Because, you know, if I had seen something like this, seen the type of destruction, the type of, the way that the body can be deformed by using these drugs, I don't think I ever would have stuck a needle in my arm. I don't think I ever would have done it.
You've been watching Cityline's special essay on drugs. It was produced in 1981 by Gil Noble.
You, of course, can call in and give us your reactions right now at 481-1313. We're going to come right back and get your reactions after this.
Now here's this week's community calendar.
The Baltimore Women's Coalition, the YWCA of Greater Baltimore, and the Baltimore Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated invites Baltimoreans to hear the international acclaimed quintet Sweet Honey in the Rock in concert on Tuesday, March 6, 1984 at 8:15 p.m. at Dunbar High School, located at 1400 Orleans Street. Tickets can be purchased at the 31st Street Bookstore and at the YWCA, 128 West Franklin Street. Call 685-1460 for ticket information.
If your group or organization would like to announce an event, please write us in care of Cityline, WJZ-TV, Television Hill, Baltimore, Maryland, 21211, or call us for further information at 466-0013 between the hours of 9 and 5.
We're back on Cityline with our guest, and let me just introduce our guest real fast. Avon Ross is a recovering drug addict in the Baltimore area, and Chip Silverman is the Deputy Director of the Maryland Drug Abuse Administration. Avon, let me just ask you, you have watched the essay on drugs by Gil Noble. That was done in 1981 in New York. This is now 1984, this is Baltimore. Is that a realistic portrayal of what the drug world is all about?
Everything that was seen in the film is real. You know, that's reality. You know, a lot of people don't want to look at it as being real, you know, but that's what the drug world is about. You know, people use to live, you know, live to use. For me, my whole life was centered into drugs, and that was the only thing about me. You know, that's the only thing that meant anything to me was the drugs.
How did you get started?
I got started from drinking, smoking reefer, and I advanced into other drugs.
Drinking was just a way to get high, and then marijuana was the next step?
Yes. You know, each drug, I was always looking for that ultimate high.
How old were you when you got started, and how long were you hooked? Eventually it led to heroin. How long were you hooked?
I shot dope for 10.5 years. I first took my first drink at the age of 12, and I was like a weekend warrior at 15, and I just went on from there.
What does weekend warrior mean?
A weekend warrior is someone who gets high just on the weekend. When I was in school, I always looked forward to Friday night. If I could, you know, go out and drink, put my money with someone and drink.
Okay, we're going to bring our home audience in, some of whom have been waiting a long time to talk to us. Good afternoon, you're live on Cityline.
Good afternoon. My name is Vanessa. I am currently trying to rehabilitate myself from drug abuse. While watching your program, I've tried to figure out just what's the most helpful thing that I could offer your audience. And it's this, that in rehabilitating drug abusers, you must remember that they lose all self-esteem, motivation, and they feel like no one cares. So in rehabilitating drug addicts, it's important that you remember these people are almost like babies. You have to approach them almost like children and bring them back to the world again. I think that's so important. At one time during my drug abuse, I was so down and out, contemplating suicide, and called the drug hotline for help. I was astounded at the attitude of the person who answered the phone. Turned me off so completely, I hung up and went and got high. This is how she answered the phone. Yeah, you know, I'm contemplating suicide. Immediately I felt, and she doesn't care either, you know, and hung right up. I think it's so important that we learn more about drugs, that we learn the root of this, and it's also important. Most people think that it starts from marijuana use. No, it starts from alcohol use, the legal way of getting high, and then it graduates. I know my statement must be brief. This is such a big subject. There's so much I can say.
You're
I've
right.
been in this game for almost, 10 years.
Well, let me just ask Chip Silverman, who's Deputy Director of the Maryland Drug Abuse Administration, to respond. Chip, does somebody care?
Yes, there are a lot of people out there that care. There are instances where perhaps a counselor isn't as skilled as they could be answering a hotline or in a treatment program. You have to understand this field is still in its embryonic stages. It's only 15 years old, the field of treatment, and we've come a long way.
How bad is the problem?
The problem's extremely severe. In the state of Maryland, for example, we did an incidence and prevalence study in which we have shown that there are 101,000 people who are mentally, physically, or socially dysfunctional as a use of drug abuse. 40,000 of these people are narcotic addicts. 28,000 to 29,000 reside in the Baltimore City area.
What's the impact of all of these numbers on, let's say, the economy?
Well, the impact's staggering. A narcotic addict, a heroin shooter, needs $100 a day to support his habit. That's 365 days out of the year, $36,000. No holidays. And the pusher does not take a credit card, and he's not on credit. So he needs cash money. In order to get that cash money, they have to steal. And that's shoplifting, breaking and entering, burglarizing, prostitution, all of these fields, since it's tough to rob banks nowadays. So they have to go to a fence. And let's say you have a generous fence and he's giving you a third or a quarter of what you're stealing. It means you're stealing 3 or 4 times what you need. It means that every heroin addict is stealing over $100,000 a year. Multiply that times the 29,000 addicts, and what you've got is $3 billion in the economy of the Baltimore metro area alone, $4 billion in the state.
Avon, let's ask you, how did you support your own habit as a heroin addict for 10.5 years?
Begged, borrowed, stole, whatever was necessary. Now, I had a job that whole time in my addiction, and all the money that I earned working went into my drug habit, or any other kind of way, from selling drugs to stealing, from begging, borrowing. Anything was necessary to do to support my habit, I done.
Okay. We're going to continue our discussion following Essay on Drugs right after this.
Go ride the white horse. If you wanna ride, go ride the white horse.
We're back on City Line with our special edition called Essay on Drugs. We're going to go immediately to the phones to talk to someone at home. Hello, you're live on City Line.
Yes, I would like to address one of the statements that one of your addicts said, movie about 60s, during a period of time, there was a bunch of drugs dumped on the black community during the movement of the Black Panthers and things on during this particular time. I just wanted to make a statement that that our government is largely responsible for this. The reason why I say that is because I believe that drugs, destruction of drugs on our youth will cause an effect on them to not be able to be confident enough to deal with being able to address the national issues.
Okay, let our guests respond to you. You've made quite a charge in your statement.
Avon, Chip,
Avon?
the callers raised a question about a conspiracy.
Well, I can't, say about if it was a conspiracy or not, to be honest. I know drugs is a big business, and as long as it is a business, it's going to be there.
Do you see it as a way of controlling people and thereby minimizing any impact they would have on changing a system? Does it control?
Yes, drugs do control you, your everything about you, nothing is yours, Any act that you do whatsoever, from sleeping to going to the bathroom, is controlled by drugs.
Chip?
Well, I can't buy any conspiracy theory whatsoever. This is a huge business, a huge industry. It's bigger than the oil industry. It's bigger than the car industry. There's billions of dollars. And if you talk about it in racial terms, then you have to say, well, what about the cocaine? Is there a conspiracy to affect the white population? And so I think it's very difficult to address that, because we're in the midst of a cocaine epidemic that's going to get worse in the next 3 or 4 years, and that's going to result in another heroin epidemic by the end of this decade.
One of the things that the Maryland Drug Abuse Administration does is calculate the statistics. Is it the fact that the statistics really started rising in terms of the numbers of people affected in the 60s, late 60s?
Well, that's true. And then that's when we started seeing a tremendous increase in drug abuse and in drug addiction. And it has continued into this decade of the 80s. And unhappily, it's going to continue into the end of this decade and probably farther on.
Okay, we're going to go to a question from the audience. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. First of all, I really thank the guests for being on. This is such an important topic. I have 2 questions, one for each. First of all, I would like to know how you made the most important decision to come off of drugs, and how difficult was that? And for the Drug Abuse Administration, what is the role of the administration in letting schools know what the community availability is of help?
Okay, Avon, if we could have you answer the first question.
It was hard, coming off, because I knew no other way of life. I belonged to a self-help group. It's people just like me. So I had, I found a way out, but I went to my job first.
What entered into your head? I mean, what is it that said to you, hey, I've got to get off of drugs. I've got to do something? What turned you around?
I lost everything that I had. I'm not talking about material things. I've been married. I put my family through pure hell. But that didn't even matter. What it was when I lost my respect for me.
Okay. We're going to continue our discussion. We're going to answer the second question which was posed, but first we'll take a break and return.
If you want to ride, go ride the white horse. White horse. Go ride the white horse.
Chip Silverman from the Maryland Drug Abuse Administration. Just before we went away, a question was asked to you as to what kind of programs or what kind of efforts do you make to advise people about programs and availability?
Well, the state has 55 treatment programs in Baltimore City and every subdivision in Maryland. In addition, we have prevention coordinators in most of our subdivisions. The Department of Education has a very good program, kindergarten through 12th grade, in which they have prevention and education. And anyone that wants to know about what else is available, they can either contact their local health department or call the State Drug Abuse Administration.
So a parent who might have watched the tape and be very much concerned about making sure that there's follow-up information for their children, available for their children, can do what?
He can contact the Drug Abuse Administration at 383-2720. He can call the State Department of Education. He can contact his local health department.
Let me ask Avon. Avon, what do you feel is one of the best ways to reach young people?
I believe it's in the school system, and I believe this should start around the 5th grade. Like the picture was just shown, people are so afraid that the kids are going to be, that's reality. And I believe kids ought to see reality as reality is, what drugs really can lead you to. So keep trying to hide it from them and act like it doesn't exist.
It's interesting you didn't mention the home.
Also in the home, and there in the home is a double problem, because people think that they can smoke reef in front of the kids and it's okay, because I did it myself.
Or get drunk in front of the kids.
Yes, you know, and I figured it was okay. They don't understand, but kids knowing what's going on because they see it in the street and they see it in their homes. And it's like make them say, well, I can do this when I get older.
But there is a responsibility in the home, don't you feel?
Yes.
All righty. Let's bring someone else in. Good afternoon. You're on City Line.
Hi, Dan, Jackie, Chip, and Avon. I'd like to make a comment. I've been listening to your show all day, and I am a profiteer, and I also work, and I have a family and a mortgage, and I've been involved in drugs for about 20 years. And I find that there are two classes of people who deal with drugs. There are the type of people who get involved in drugs and it overwhelms them and they become a victim of it. And then there's another type of person who is involved in drugs and wants to enjoy the pleasures of drugs.
Okay,
educating.
Let's let our guests respond to those points.
You know, for me, I don't think it's two classes of people into the drug world, and I have never met a sociable dope fiend, all right, you know, and to say that, you know, it's like the statement he just made is like telling a kid it's okay as long as you be sociable, and I think that's bull, okay, I think that's real bull to tell, you know, to divide it, because drugs is not an outlook, a way out of life, because that's what it is. Taking a drug is escaping reality.
Okay, thank you for your point. We're going to continue our discussion. Real short period of time left, but we're going to continue our discussion right after this.
White horse. If you want to ride, don't ride the white horse. White horse.
We're back on City Line, and we're sorry to say we're out of time. We hope that you've been able to get something out of today's special edition of City Line, Essay on Drugs. We'd like to thank Avon Ross, Chip Silverman of the Maryland Drug Abuse Administration. Chip, before you gave us a phone number where those who needed help or needed information could call, give us that number one more time.
Well, with the state, it's 383-2720. But they can just look in the phone book, and there's addict referral and counseling in the Baltimore metro area or the local health departments.
Echo House. We've got Echo House on the street, addict referral and counseling. You've got confined addicts seeking help is another place to deal with it. So there are adequate places to deal with it, at least places to call. Avon, real fast.
And they also have Narcotics Anonymous that they can call for help.
Okay. Just coming up next week, we want to remind all of you that breakdancing and rap music is the topic next week, and we're going to have all kinds of people here from the local entertainment scene to rap and break with us.
Again, we hope that you enjoyed today's special edition of City Line. That's our show. I'm Jackie Hall. Have a good Sunday.
I'm Dan Henson.